Unfortunately, we're
Having
going to do a
issues, like-
show.
Hold on, be right back.
Okay.
Yay.
Everybody
we
take
lost-
their quick breaks now. We'll probably be starting at what, 5 after? What time's it now?
I've got the link ready to go. I'm going to send out, but I want to make sure all the panelists are in before we do that. So,
Yes.
and Miss Lise, if you're going to be coming in, having the video on is very helpful.
I got one more coming in.
Okay, let him come in. Monica Mason. There we go.
Oh, that's so exciting.
Got to get some Monica in. We all love Monica. All love Monica. Yeah, yeah, there she is.
Monica, God, she looks like my cousin. My goodness.
All right, now are we staying
Hey.
on here or are we going over to the other chat now?
That's what I was waiting for you to come back, Miss Michelle.
I know,
Here-
sorry.
I know. Here is the
right.
link for the panelist only. Please, only panelists. I'm putting the link in the chat. You're going to copy this link. You're going to close, very important, completely close your Zoom. Then open up your Chrome and then paste the link in there and use that. Any other way will not get you in. Link is sent.
Panelists only.
Oh,
And this
there
is
it
where you should see everyone dropping off.
Yeah.
Because if they're not dropping off, they didn't close Zoom.
Right.
You gotta make sure it's double closed. I made that mistake last week.
Yeah, you did. You kept complaining about that you couldn't get in. We're like, it's because you
You
ain't
closed it
yet.
yet.
So get out of Zoom, grab the link, and go to what? Go to
Grab the link, get out of Zoom.
Yeah, grab the
Use
link. then move it into Google Chrome.
Okay.
I'll get over to my spot. I'll get
Tiberius, you
I'll
ready
get
to
him.
sit down, please?
I'm ready. I'm getting him. I got
You
him.
should
We're
doing
ready.
1 minute commercials, right?
We're still 1 minute commercials at the moment. Yes.
Okay. I want to get my time.
Thank you, Monica, for leaving your camera on. It's important for the little clippets and saying, you go, girl, or that's bull. That the video's on, so we can get those little snapshots in. Steve, are you getting out of Zoom?
Well, I'm not seeing a link.
Steve's
Okay,
coming
I'll
back
post
on. He's back on.
Oh, do you know about? Did you
There
look
we
at
go.
the chat,
Okay.
Steve?
Yeah, now? Okay, there you go.
Okay, so Monica meet Don. Don has been helping us tremendously. He wasn't at the event we had because he fell off a ladder. He was trying to, I forgot what he was doing. It was pretty exciting. I wish we'd had video on it. So Don has literally laid up recovering in his home. In about 30 days, he may be able to drive. But he has been a superstar helping us out. And he's the moderator of the Zoom. So,
Do you got it now, Steve?
And then other than
I think it's coming up. It's circling.
Right. You have to get out of Zoom first.
Okay, out of Zoom.
close Zoom.
You have to completely close Zoom.
Yep.
He's still there.
Still there. Who's the fourth panelist?
I still see you, Steve.
Okay. Let me try it again. Oh, here we go.
So grab it and then close the Zoom. Just kill that out of there. There's Ed.
Okay, I'll email it to him because he's not getting out of Zoom. Oh, there he is.
Oh, there he's out.
Now, what you'll have to do, Don, and I don't know whether, at the first break, Don, if you need to say, do a couple things, because, we had a couple people like you burped that one time and your screen showed up, or whatever. But I think everybody's going to know it. That was kind of funny, though. It's like, okay, didn't even know my face was on there. But we want pithy little comments. Johnny, you are definitely allowed to jump in on pithy comments if you think something's said right or whatever. Monique, same thing. We're wanting the peanut gallery to be that type of interactive, but you can't monopolize it because obviously once you say something, it cuts off the feed to the show. And so you really want, what?
I'm not
Hello?
getting Steve's video.
Hold on. I'll get his call. We always, this is the first time, and what's so funny is Steve is literally.
Oh, you're cleaning your screen. I was like, what the hell happened? No, Monica cleaning her screen.
I'm going to kick him out and bring
I
him
can
back
see
in.
y'all.
All right, hold on. I got somebody coming in. Hold on a second.
I'm going to
Ed.
do
Everybody
the
give me a
Zoom
quick
meeting so
sound
I don't
check.
have to hear it.
Got Ted coming in.
Be that a matching,
Ted, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay.
Can you see me?
There you are. Hey, buddy, what's up?
Hey, Ted.
Yay,
Oh, he's not.
Bob, what's going on?
You can't hear him.
I got it. We can't hear you. It's good to see
What
you.
else is new?
What else is new? Is it a little too hot to be playing golf right now, or what?
No, it's beautiful. I didn't have any games set up. What can I say?
Oh,
So where's the chat feature on the edge that I
you
get to
should have a
join?
chat feature.
I had to kick him out and try to get him to come back in. I don't know. He didn't answer the call.
Okay.
We're
There we
We're
go.
waiting on Steve, right?
just waiting for one more, gentlemen. And ladies.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
He's frustrated.
Molly, can you come in? I got kind of look at I got a cousin in Seattle. Well, I got a lot of cousins, so
I'll email it to
maybe
him.
like 150 of them. So, but
No, I'm on a
kind
completely
of my
different.
cousin Betty up in Seattle.
We go out of Zoom and then we go into a completely different. You can't hear anything?
Not yet. We got it
You know-
muted right now until we
No,
can.
no,
get-
no, no. They can hear each other and all that.
Oh, they can hear each other. Okay.
And they can hear
Lisa
us.
said that she can't hear anything though on her phone.
At least
She can see, but she can't hear.
her camera's not on.
Yeah, but everyone else can. So it's going to be something on her phone then.
So on her phone, she needs to enable audio or whatever.
I have it in the freezer or I have it in the fridge.
So at least need to turn on the camera.
Which one's Steve Lane? Which one is it?
It's Steve. It's a, hold on.
This one right here?
Yeah, it's Southern Fire Stop. That's
Okay.
it. Okay, we're,
Phone?
yeah, hold on. We're faxing or getting him hopefully the thing.
Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, we're just waiting for Mr.
I can
Steve to
hear
get
you.
in.
Ah, but
Yeah.
he's worth it though.
You can't hear me?
I can hear
Can you not hear
everyone.
us?
And
Yes.
Monica, can you hear me? We can't. You got your
Michelle, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, good.
Monica, can you speak?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good. It looked like it was
Hear you.
looked like
No,
you
I
were-
have I have my mic muted, so.
Okay, okay. It was showing mute, so I was making sure. Okay.
What says Fire Stop, where you can grab the link. So try it again, just go back in. We had to cut you off because your video didn't come through. It happens all the time. Don't worry, we'll get it. So if you just, we're just saying, put it in Google Chrome if you have that.
So, Mr. Ted, you been all right?
Zoom is
Should
closed.
work. Should work.
Yeah. Hang on.
Okay. Oh, this is exciting.
Oh, hold on. I need to close this door because I can hear.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, I can.
You see it already?
Okay.
Not yet.
Hold on, we don't see it yet.
Hang on.
So you just
I was
Type
making
his
fun of
name.
the
type in
Oompa. They
your
got this
name.
thing called the
Type
Oompa
in your name to
Loompas.
join.
They call them the some of the congressmen. They went down to New York in the same suits. You see that, Ted?
No, I missed that one.
You didn't see all the representatives, and they went down to
Yeah.
support Trump down there, and they all had on
Looks good.
Hold on.
in the red ties. They
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I missed that. No, I did. I missed it. That's too
That's
bad.
hilarious, man.
Yeah.
His internet is red, but he's there.
Okay,
I was given. Oh, there he is. He's on.
there we go. It's jumping around a little bit, but I think I'm in.
That's okay. Your internet's just kind of laggy, but it'll work.
You guys check out last week's shows.
Wish I knew somebody.
Yeah,
No, I didn't see last week's show. I didn't catch up.
yeah. It's on,
Okay,
it's on
so I
YouTube,
think we got
so-
everybody here. I have
Hey.
muted the Zoom so they cannot hear
We had
us.
an
Or
interesting,
they can hear us, but we cannot hear them.
Very interesting.
That way their activity doesn't interfere with what we have. I'm sure we're all gonna have a fantastic show. We've got Mr. Ted Johnson watching. He's always a blast, and we got Mr. Johnny Dunn watching. So those
The
two are
Johnny
definitely
Dunn.
going to have a lot. Miss Monica Mason has entered the building, so we're very excited to see
And
you
Lisa
guys.
Hewitt. Lisa Hewitt will be
Lisa Hewitt
watching.
just made it in. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
And our panelists today are going to be awesome. We got Michelle, who's on top this time, and let's see. Wait, I got Steve and the other one mixed, didn't I?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. I
Hold
got
on.
them in the wrong spot.
Just a sec. He may have to do a little movement there. Steve, unless Steve could just change his whole ideology.
No, I'm not
He could
gonna
do
have
that.
to Become the.
Sure.
Come on, Steve. Come over to my side. Come on, sweetheart.
I don't think they're going to do that. Let me go ahead and reset this one. We want to reverse those two. That would be quite entertaining to have. Let's see. Steve is currently on that side. And
There we go.
then Bill, I had them reversed for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know why.
So we can verify everyone's in the right spot.
There you
correct?
go.
Yeah.
Hey.
Okay. Now, everyone, we're going to verify that your names are spelled correctly.
Name
So,
spelled
Just check your names are spelled correctly. We got Michelle Walters. We got Steve
Steve Langell.
Langell. I've said that right.
Steve Langell, yep.
Ed Roberts. I understand. It's okay as long as we get it coming in. We got Bill Russell and, of course, Bob Phipps. Let me go ahead and close the door and all that for him.
Oh, I got it.
You got it, Bob?
I got the door.
Okay. Tiberius, you got timers? Did you test to make sure the mouse is okay? Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I think we're doing set. Good.
We are ready.
Yeah.
Ready, Freddie. Oh, ready.
Ready.
You ready?
I got audio timers, video timers. Ready, ready, ready.
Everybody looks good. Light on them. I can see them all. They're good.
Okay.
Ready.
Okay, we're all good, and we're gonna fade me away. Oh, Joe Boy's going away.
Good.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, setting timers. Audio timers are a go. Video timers are a go. In 3, 2. This is Joe Boy with WJJam102jams.com, and we're recording the Third Side Combo with your host, Bob Phipps. Starting in 5, 4, 3. Welcome to the Third Side Combo with your host, Bob Phipps. Your panelists today are Michelle Walters, Steve Langell, Ed Roberts, and Bill Russell. And now, your host, Bob Phipps.
Welcome, everyone, to Third Side Convo. Tonight, we're going to talk about a topic that's both timely and contentious. And we've titled this thing, Who is More Likely to Steal the Next Election? Now, what we're going to end up talking about, because we do this in our balanced way, and we have diverse people, we have respectful people, and we use Uber discourse method of discussion, which says we don't want a direct reference to any politician, whatever they did or said. So what we're going to try to do is delve into the issue and see if we can find the facts and see if we can maybe dispel some fallacies or challenges that happen. You know, because if you think about it, accusations are flying from both sides of the political spectrum. Each side is claiming that the other one is a threat to our democracy. And that's just no way to function as a country. So our show's a little bit unique. We've got a first-time panelist here. We've got some people that have actually been part of this discourse before and believe in it. So that's what we're going to try to do. We're going to try to discuss the issues and topics without
the partisan banner, even though there will be some. There's no question about that. Our goal is not to point fingers, but to really understand those issues that make it up. So sit back, engage with us, and be part of this important conversation. You know, tonight's topic, who is more likely to steal the upcoming election? Now, thank you for joining us at the Third Side Convo. And after our break, we're going to go on and get that question answered, and then we're going to find out what the real truth is. We'll be right back after our break from our commercial.
You guys know, you guys, when they're talking, you can jump in and say, hey, that's BS. Like, so anytime you can just jump in right now, or when the commercials, even when the show's going on, you can jump in.
Okay, I was gonna ask you that, Don. Thank you.
Right now, you can do that. If you got a timer, like it's a minute right now. So like you got a question about the election. So I responded, no one has ever stolen an election.
Except in 2020.
Johnny, of course they stole it. That's the only way they can win. Don't you know that?
Completely. Anybody who
Johnny,
believes
I
somebody
know
that
they
got
stole it.
2%, pushed
What's
out
that?
for plagiarism and then suddenly got more votes than Barack Obama or Hillary Clinton. If anyone actually believes that, they are high-level delusional.
Johnny, I guess you don't
Welcome back.
remember all the
Let's-
stories from
first I'd like to go
2014
around
on
and
how
let's get a
increased
simple
registration
yes or
boomed up
actually a
until
simple one-word answer to
2016.
this one.
And then
Who is
2018, we
more
won
likely
the
to
House
steal the
went
next
to
election?
the
Michelle, we'll start
Dems.
with you. What
Yeah,
political
we're back,
party
you
is more
guys.
likely to
20
steal the
million
next
more people
election?
voted. Johnny, I guess
I
you don't
believe
remember
that
that,
it's
do
the
you?
Republican Party.
That's
yeah.
enough.
We're back.
How many
Steve,
of
what
the
do you
20
think?
million were dead?
You guys
Oh,
are back.
sure, yeah, all 20 million were
Okay.
dead.
All right. Now we'll talk to
Back,
the other
Johnny.
side.
Hey,
Ed, what do you
But
think?
see, reality is set
Well, based on
aside for
history,
you from
it
that.
One word.
There you go. Yeah.
yes.
Why wouldn't
Yeah.
people
Okay,
want to
who's
have
gonna
voter
do it? Which
ID
political
when
party
they
is
even
what I was
require
looking
it in
for, Ed. That's
Mexico?
okay.
Why
Democrat.
did France shut down
Okay.
mail-in voting
And,
because
Bill,
of
what do
fraud?
you believe?
And yet here in the good old US of A,
Okay.
which side is
You
fighting?
guys are
muted
back.
yourself for something,
The
Bill.
one that
I'm
cheats.
not good at reading lips, but
Oh,
try it
really?
again. What'd you say?
There you go.
81% of people believe you should have photo
Right,
ID
we're going to
to
switch
vote.
off to
That
Bill.
comes
So I
right
think
from
I
Gallup,
believe I could
which
read
is
lips,
totally
and it
unbiased.
looked like he
I
said
agree with
Why
that.
does one
Democrat.
side not
So,
fight for voter
now,
ID?
I don't think
go
any
a little
side
bit
is
more
against that.
Let's talk about why. So let's
It's
go on and
racist
start
is
with
what I've heard your
Steve. You're
side say if
already
you
here.
ask
Steve,
people to have photo
The
ID.
show is
what is
back.
We're back,
why do
you
you think
guys.
that?
Well, just based on history, number one, right up the street here in Ocoee, and I don't know the year, but you do know they hung 13 black people because they were trying to register to vote, right? That was in the 19th century here, 20th
But that's
century.
probably not going to happen before this next election. I mean, I really
No,
want to maybe not live so much in the past. Good attempt, though, on your part, though. You're right
Yeah.
about that. They hung some people for voting? Wow.
Well, they were
Ed,
trying
what
to
do you think
register.
about hanging people for voting? Is that probably not a good idea?
Well, as you said, it hasn't happened in a long time. It was never right, but they hung people for a lot of things.
Yeah.
Voting was just one of them. So I don't think taking that as a separate item, that's just happened to happen because that was the incident they were using. But I don't think that's indicative of election behavior unless we want to use some of the tactics of voter suppression, depending on which party happens to be in power.
Okay, Steve, we'll get back to you in a second because I didn't mean to cut you off because obviously history does matter. But Michelle, tell me what do you see as to why you're concerned about the fact that the election's going to get stolen?
I mean, well, first and foremost, I kind of want to take a step back though on, we're talking about the hanging and stuff like that though. But when you look back at history and predominantly, it seemed like a lot of the rules and regulations, the voting rights have been in suppression to more on the lines of, I believe, on the Democratic side compared to the Republican side. And I feel that with regards to a lot of the mappings and everything that they're doing though right now, that it is giving a much more of an advantageous advantage to the Republican candidates than they are the Democratic candidates.
All right, Bill, what's your initial thoughts? Well, this is good. We got you muted and we got Steve frozen. But other than that, we're doing great.
Well, I can kind of help out with that. I mean, as far as what I think Michelle's talking about, gerrymandering, it's whoever's in power.
Yeah,
in the
each of
area.
y'all go in and log off and log back on.
You know what, though,
Steve.
but it's not necessarily just with regards to gerrymandering, though. I mean, if you look back though in history and you look back at, you know what I mean, a lot of the rules and regulations, I mean, that go back to, you know,
Get off.
what is it? You know what I mean? It was the 15th Amendment that finally gave blacks the right to vote. It was, you know what I mean, the 19th that finally gave women. I mean, these were all people that predominantly, you know what I mean, were disadvantaged, were considered disadvantaged. So therefore, as a norm, they're probably going to sit there and want to tend more towards the Democratic side. And it was, you know, in overall, and I mean, it's not that long ago. I mean, really, honestly, it's not that, you know what I mean, long ago, though, with regards to a lot of these policies that were enacted that were discriminatory. And I feel like a lot of those things that carry forward to today. So
Well, which one of those would have happened recently that hasn't been legally or litigated to correct? There's none. There just doesn't happen like that. I mean, what you're saying, I 100% agree with in that statement, but for the standpoint that saying someone is disadvantaged, they can't really prove it anywhere. Now, is there disadvantage in everything? Somewhat, because nothing is legally flat and fair across the board. And whoever's in power, depending on the party that's in there, will always kind of gerrymander or move things around to advantage them. And that's on both sides. So I will give that to both sides from there. But I can't think, I mean, I would stand against what you would stand against if that happened. I'm 100% for that always.
well, yeah, no, I mean, and absolutely that you're going to sit there and stand against it, though. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. But I still feel that there are a lot of policies that are still not necessarily those per se, you know what I mean, still in place, but there are a lot of disadvantages that some of these minority groups that are receiving that necessarily, I feel that it's the Republicans are not, you know, they're not receiving the disadvantage the way the Democrats are. So I think that with regards to black, you know what I mean, the black votes, the black suppressions, I don't, you know what I mean, I really honestly, I don't believe that even though they do still have the right to vote, I still believe there are polling places, there are situations to where they're not necessarily being equally counted.
So like polling places that are, we'll say in a Democratic area run by Democratic pollsters, they're suppressing their own vote. Is that what you're trying to say?
No. I mean, what I'm trying to sit there and state, though, is that are a lot of regulations and changes. I mean, even with regards to what happened, you know, with regards to DeSantis and the changing of the maps and what is it, the 5th district, I believe, to where I believe that that's putting more of a disadvantage for the black voters than it is voters of other nationalities.
Right. Like it happens up in Chicago all the time.
Yeah, yes.
So
Yeah.
it's
Well, and the question
All right. Well, let's see if we've got the two on the bottom that can actually talk again. And I think isn't that kind of the way it is the Republicans are looking to have less people vote and the Democrats want more people vote. Is that the basic difference between the two? Bill, is that how you see it?
No, basically what it is that on the Republican side, we want an honest number of voters. We want those voters who are properly registered. We want those. We do not want illegal votes cast. And getting back into the history, going back over the history of the voter suppression, when it came to lynching people for voting, it was Democrats that did that. When it came to going back to the own history that I've observed growing up, I remember mentioning a politician who's long dead now, a guy named Big Ralph Falsetta in Donaldsonville, Louisiana, used to open his bar on voting day when he was running for mayor, and would serve free drinks in his bar on the called the back of town area. And then you had all these programs in which, you know, from voter stuffing or ballot harvesting in old folks' homes to manipulating people in adult residence areas.
Can you guys hear
where
Bill?
they would take them in and tell them that one party wanted to take
yes.
away their vote
Not that
right to
loud,
vote.
though.
And they would get a lot of these
low.
people who unfortunately were mentally challenged to vote for one side.
Don, I just turned up
and then
my
you
volume.
had little bits and
I
pieces
can
of
hear
this
him fine.
throughout, and it all really came to a head in the 2020 election, and where everything came together at once, from the ballot harvesting to the ballot stuffing to the vote harvesting from the
Hey,
nursing
Bill,
homes.
let's look at that after. I think we need to take
Okay.
our first break and our next break. So let's go and look at that right after that, and we'll start with that. We'll be right back.
Show would like to thank Boggy Creek Day Voter.
Okay, here we go. You guys can speak freely.
What a
Okay,
myth about the
hold the
2020
show.
election coming together. Oh, ballot harvesting, the whole thing. Oh, it's perfect. Gee, the Democrats can't do anything right, but they have this perfect conspiracy to win the whole 2020 election. It's amazing how they both sides of the mouth they speak.
Hey, look, by the way, I think the Republicans were equally guilty in 2020, and that's why so many of them were silent, because they're all really one unit and none of them wanted Trump.
Ah,
Ha!
funny.
I don't know about that either.
Good point.
I don't know.
All I know is this: 2024 is going to be too big to rig, baby. Did you
like
see
it.
those 100,000 people in New Jersey? It's going to be amazing. It's going to be like Reagan Mondale all over again.
I doubt that. I doubt that.
Well, they're back.
All I know is we need the truth.
Okay. All right. We're having some major technical challenges on this one, and it's just it's amazing what's happening here. Everybody has been so good, and apparently the Zoom, they can't hear us. I hope y'all can remember what you said. It was really excellent, and Steve's going to try to log on and log off again. Luckily, Joe edits these things. Of course, he's not looking forward to the extreme editing he may have to go on, but we're going to see if we can get Langell on again. And Don quit. John, well, never mind. We've got to figure out a way that is the Zoom allowed to. Can y'all hear it now?
We can
the
hear you
Zoom?
now,
I
yeah.
don't know.
Now we can.
You can hear now.
But
All
just
right.
the last few
We'll,
minutes.
like pretend we're starting again. I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah,
Joe boy.
let's reset and act like we're coming back from commercial. Okay.
Hey, for what it's worth, Bob,
Coming back
Bill's
from commercial in
volume
5,
is very, very low for
3.
all of us.
Yeah, it was really low.
Welcome back. Now we're going to maybe get into some specifics about, I'd like to kind of stay out of past history because, Bill, you brought up the idea those dadgum Democrats were the ones that used to hang people. Then they claim that the Democrats are now the Republicans. It's always, no one wants to claim responsibility for all of that hanging that went on, and we don't want to really go there with this. What I'd like to concentrate on is what specific things are being done by both parties between now and November that you feel is going to make for a improper election, okay? So is there anything specific? You now able to talk, Steve, and you can tell us what specific things those damn Republicans are likely to do?
Well,
to-
sure. I think I'm there now.
Good.
If they go by what they've done in the past, okay. Let's. The Secretary of State controls elections in every state.
Okay.
So let's close down polling stations, right? In certain districts that we may not want those people to vote in, and make the lines 3 hours long. The little shenanigans like that. We just saw that in 2020.
On
All right,
both
yeah.
sides.
Somebody on the other side want to challenge that or talk
Yeah.
about that?
Well, of course, when you look at what they did in Arizona, they did that in the primarily Republican precincts where they shut down the voting machines, gave them the false or improperly sized ballots that wouldn't register, that locked up the machines. There was all kinds of stuff going on. And
That's
generally this
bullshit.
happens when you
That's
have
total
in states
fucking
where
bullshit.
you have heavily Democratic districts and in fact, Democrat secretaries of state. George
Prove it.
Soros has a
Tell
program.
the story. Where's the
in which he
story?
has sought
Let
to
me
get,
see that. Where is that?
Democrat secretaries of state elected
Proof.
so he could control who counts the votes.
Well, that's the whole gerrymandering. I mean, that's, it's, I'm sure
Well,
we
gerrymandering is a recognized process. I mean, that's in the that is a constitutional process. The state legislatures have the right to define the districts, but when you have third parties, particularly when you have big money elites that are putting money into getting whether
Big
it's
money
Secretary of
elites.
States,
Oh, really?
secretaries of state, or attorneys of the districts, the district attorneys, you end up with people that are either improperly enforcing the law, improperly enforcing the voting
I mean,
regulations.
enforce it not the way you
but
like.
no, but I
Is that
still
what
though,
you're
I mean,
saying?
go back to, with DeSantis, the one sitting there and redesigning the maps. I mean, I feel that it's unfair to sit there and have an elected official, You know what I mean? That is going to sit there and draw a map that's going to be obviously favoritism towards him. I mean, it is one of those to where I almost kind of, to be perfectly honest, I almost kind of feel like just throw it all out and, you know what I mean, and start from scratch. It's you know, it's just,
Yeah,
it's not working. It's not working all the way across the nation. I mean,
Hey, Michelle, what you ought to do is go in and Google gerrymandering weird districts, and you will see Republicans and Democrats have gerrymandered districts that you would not believe that how bad it gets. So it's really who controls the legislature generally decides this, quote, you know, redistricting and stuff. But just Google that sometime. You will see the most amazing maps, and both sides do that one. I'm just throwing that out. Okay.
You know, even if you take the gerrymandering out, my concern is the level or the lack of control at the poll sites where they can hold, each party can hold one person out that's supposed to be checking. They had a lot of ballots found in the trash, a lot of stuff that went on, and it happened on both sides. So I'm not saying either one's better or worse, but typically, if you have a heavily Democratic or a heavily Republican,
You
you're
can
going
chime
to get
in,
certain
Monica.
behaviors that are kind of indicative within those areas. Now they're a little bit different, but they are pretty similar in how they do it. And that's my biggest problem, when someone can pull workers out because for whatever reason, that's not right. And that definitely ruins integrity. And right now, I don't have a lot of faith in our voting integrity, especially when you don't have to have voter ID at all. I mean, I use my analogy, and I think I used this the other day, is that I said, it's like me going into a bank and said, I identify as Elon Musk and I want my money.
Exactly. Yeah.
You should get your money then. No, you know, you need proper ID so that you can be fairly and accurately represented for your vote, period.
Well, let's go on and throw that question out then to everybody, and just go around the group on this one. Bill, do you think that voter ID should be required?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And one of the things we need to get rid of is motor voter registration, because that's one of the areas in which ineligible people get registered to vote when they go to get their driver's licenses. And they may not have their voter registration canceled in their previous state, or they may not be eligible. They may not even be a citizen.
About that.
And in many states, they are forbidden to look. Particularly California is a big violator of this.
Okay.
But
All right. Hey, Bill, let me go on. Now, Steve, all I want you to do is don't say a thing if you believe that voting IDs or IDs should be required, right? So just don't say a thing if you think voter IDs will be required, and that'll be your position, right? Okay, thank you. What about Michelle? Let's get Michelle on there. Michelle, you actually can nod. I'll let you nod. Don't you agree that voting IDs make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we've agreed upon something, and we're almost unanimous there. We've agreed upon something. That's good. Okay, let's talk about a couple of things. Let's talk about early voting. Early voting. How early do you have to vote to make it convenient for people? Because obviously the Republicans want it like, we'll give you 1 day extra, and the Democrats want to give you 6 months. What do you think about that? You know, let's go start. Bill, just give me a quick. What do you think that should be? How early? How should we lengthen that? What should be?
Well, I think Florida is one of the few states that handles it well.
Okay.
But many states, they're so subject to manipulation of the system that, and they don't control it, is the problem.
Well, what's fair? I guess what's fair? What should early voting be?
Well, it should actually be extremely limited to those who are going to be out of state. And I think on voting on election day, you have a holiday and everybody shows up to vote as appropriate. 1 day
I like
voting.
that. Okay, Michelle. Michelle, what about you?
I have to admit, though, I mean, and I do agree with you. I do agree with you, Bill, though, in the aspect of, you know, it shouldn't be some super long time frame or anything like that. I do believe that it should be very, very limited, and maybe, or even bring it down to, okay, well, you know what I mean? Our elections take place on this particular day. On early voting is going to take place on this particular day, and do your Sunday fun day. That's your voting, and that's your early voting day, and that's it. That's all you get.
Okay, sounds like you've got a peanut gallery of your own there, Michelle. That was fabulous. Steve, can we now get
Yes.
you to weigh in on? You can weigh in on both of them. Voter IDs are okay. You have an ID,
Sure.
right? Okay, voter IDs
Yeah,
are
yeah,
good.
I have no problem with voter IDs.
Okay, what
whatsoever.
about good? What about how long should the early voting be?
Judge McCall, you know, a week, 2 weeks is plenty of time. If you want to vote, if you have 2 weeks, I'm pretty sure you can work it in your schedule to make it down there and drop off your ballot.
All right, I love it.
If you
We're getting
can't,
some
you
more
know,
agreement
sorry.
here. Ed, can we get total agreement here? What would you say on the early voting?
Well, you know what? I'm actually going to go the other way a little bit.
Oh!
Well, here's why. I like the 30 days. Why? Because month to month, you know, you can get everything accomplished in a month, and if you can't, then it wasn't important. But the reason why is because if you get out too far, you get early polling numbers that actually suppresses voting on both sides. You know, if you know that there's 10 million votes for this candidate that you don't want, you're like, well, screw it. I'm not going to do it. There's no reason for me to even go now. And when you get too early, I think that's one of the biggest voter suppression things that happens because people just don't. So I would say a month, but I'd be anything under a month I would be good with. But normally I think, you know, as a civic or a normal responsibility, there's a day that you have to go. If you had to go to get a license or go pick up an EBT card, or you had to go do something important, you had to go to the doctor, you'd go on that day. You would say, well, can we kind of make it like a week or two or whenever I feel like it? No, I just don't think that's realistic, but I would be willing to concede all the way to 30 days.
Well, you know, that's the great thing about this. What we're trying to do in this podcast is recognize that not everybody feels the same just because they may lean one way or the other, that there's issues that can just be discussed to figure this out. So voter ID, I know, was one of the things that they, you know, that the Republicans got nailed on. I know Democrats got nailed on the fact that they wanted to, you know, give voter registrations to driver's license, like Bill was talking about. Steve, what are some other, if you're able to talk again, what are some other things specific that the Republicans are doing that you don't agree with to having a fair election?
Well,
Other
I'll
than
tell you what,
hanging people, which we're totally in agreement on. We got 3 things we're in agreement on.
Three
Okay, right
agreements.
now we got 3 things. Okay, go.
Okay, one of my main concerns is after the elections have been cast is that the tabulation of the ballots. That's where it's a little bit of.
That's a good
We go
one.
back to Bush Gore, okay? I mean, come on, it went all the way to the Supreme Court. It is a real issue, and it depends on the Secretary of State of that particular state. Makes the rules. I don't think it's right.
Well, but it hasn't always been that way. That, I mean, you know, one of the problems you have with all these, quote, local polling places, it's all a bunch of people, local people running the polling place. Of course you're going to have problems. And unfortunately, with our media, 24-hour media, we find out about them all, don't we? Bill, is there anything that the other side is doing that you think you don't want to see before November? What are they doing?
Well, I just wanted to point out one
Sure.
real quick. Where I really disagree with Steve is that the problem is not with as much at the Secretary of State level, particularly here in Florida. The problem was at the local level where you had precincts where they did where you had people engage in a lot of the traditional ballot stuffing, and they keep trying to count and recount and do a localized count. And Bush v. Gore was a classic example. And that's the reason why the Miami-Dade vote registrar was fired by
Secretary of State, you
by
dumb
DeSantis
shit.
because she was not following the law as it was written, and it was
Was that ever
on the
proven?
books, and it was a violation.
Was
It was
that
proven well
ever
enough.
proven?
No, it's
Well,
not.
I think the results proved it.
Yeah, the results proved it. But she was fired because they couldn't get the tabulation right, and they kept trying to go back and recount and find more votes and tried to change the outcome of the election. And we see this throughout the country, whether it's Virginia or Philadelphia. There's always parts of some states where they wait until very, very late on election night, and then suddenly more votes appear.
Absolutely. Well, and that to me, that brings the question though is, I mean, what do people
think,
want to go
Ted?
back to old school with the chads and doing this manually, or keep it computerized? Because obviously there's there's an additional push though on getting rid of
do you
the
think, Ted?
machines, getting rid of
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, absolutely, because the machines without a paper at least with the chads, you had a paper record
correct.
of the votes. And if, I'll put it this way, if a person is too stupid to properly punch a chad, their vote shouldn't count. But in terms of having
I
a
agree with
paper
you on that one. That's another point.
All right, 4 things. All right.
I agree.
But if you have a paper record, and that was a problem we saw up in Pennsylvania, because you'd go in, you put in your vote, and we'd receive reports of people having their votes changed on the computer screen, that it came up that the candidate they voted for was not the one that showed up on the screen. And when the count came out of that machine, there was no paper record. There was nothing to prove.
Bill, there's a lot of weird stuff,
Yeah.
and the frustration is I don't believe most people, they'll come out all of a sudden, they'll talk about, oh, this happened here, this happened here, this happened here. It happens everywhere. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our last break, and then we're going to be back for a wrap up. And I'm loving to see all this agreement here. Thank you so much. We'll be back.
Corona Cigar Company is your one-stop shop for all your cigar needs.
You guys, actually, what do you think, Ollie?
A top-of-the-line cutter or lighter, a place to enjoy.
But Ted, what do you think?
They haven't touched on what I've got an issue with, as I call them, the so-called mail-out ballots. I think a lot of people call them mail-in ballots incorrectly. I've got no trouble with absentee ballots that are requested by registered voters. I have a big problem with bulk ballots being mailed out to addresses of voters that have not requested them.
Good point. You think, Ted?
I think some of the comments just repeat stuff they hear on alt-right news stations that have been refuted, but they don't hear about it because
All
it's
right,
never
we're back.
reported.
Now, what we're
Like
gonna do is
just
we have a
now,
way of maybe
Atlanta
getting
Journal-Constitution
a little,
reported about
concise
double
here.
scanned
We've got an
ballots.
hourglass that you're going to be on the clock, and it's only a 30-second hourglass. So here's what I want. You've now heard enough, and I want you to figure out what you agreed with on the other side, and it could be things we've already agreed with and talked about, but I want to hear it to be said again. So, well, let's go and start Ed. Ed, you're the new one. We're going to put you on the hourglass here, and ready, and give us what you think we've come up with today as far as agreement.
Well, I think we all agree that there should be a limited time for voting, when it should be, and it should be that we should have do everything we can to reduce voter suppression. I think that what we didn't talk about, or we should agree on, is that I think a way to limit a lot of these issues is by standardizing how everyone votes across the country. And I don't believe in the computer system because I know they can be hacked too easy. There needs to be some other check, because then every vote does count. I think we agree on that. We agree that the system is failed. I think we all agree on that.
How do you know that?
I think we all kind of agree that we need to change it. And we all want to make sure.
All right, that's your 30. I didn't see the hourglass. We're having issues here, but that's okay. We're just having fun because we got real people here. Steve, looks like you're on. I can see movement. I apologize. I'm going to go to Steve
Okay,
next.
good. I keep going in and out.
Steve, but your brain's always been like that, but that's what I've always loved about you, Steve. It's always worked. Okay, so you're hopefully on a 30-second clock. There we go. You're going to be on a 30-second hourglass if we can get that little sucker turned over. Oh, he's working on it. No, we don't have. Okay, we're watching. Go. Give me
what I
30
can agree
seconds
with.
of what you agree
30
with on the
seconds.
other side and where you
What I
think
can
we've
agree
got some
with.
agreement.
Voter ID, no brainer. Early voting, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, okay. 6 months, no. Paper ballots. I would love to see a paper ballot in every jurisdiction. Vote, have them tabulated electronically. If there's a dispute, okay, compare the tab to the paper. It's real. It's not that hard. It's pretty easy.
Are you sure you didn't just switch parties, Steve? Okay, let's go. Let's go to Bill. Bill, give me your wrap up here.
Well, I like Steve's comment on using the paper tabs counted by machine, and you've got the record to be counted if there's a discrepancy. Absolutely, voter IDs. What we all want is one vote per person if they choose to vote and choose to show up at the polls and vote.
Excellent. Michelle.
I have to admit, though, I mean, I agree with all three, though, and quite a few points. but almost to a certain degree, what I would love to be able to just wipe the slate, clean and just start new, and to be able to, like you said, do a national standardized all the way across all the states. And this is exactly how we're going to do this. Forget all of these other new rules, regulations, electoral, the college, all of that, and just make it even across the board for everybody.
Yeah, one of the things I want y'all to look at, because one of the things I read, because I'm trying to, figure out where the problems are everywhere. But if you read articles, what I would encourage you to do is you'll find an article that's written by a conservative, and they will highlight one little thing there that is the suppression, maybe not proved or whatever. And the same thing the Democrats will say, they're those Republicans trying to put people back in chains, and it'll just be because they have a voter ID or whatever. Look behind the articles. I have always known, because I've talked to a lot of people, voting rights we pretty much agree on. Now, we can't agree upon what happened in the last election. That I know upon. We're never going to agree upon what happened in the last election. But what I do know is we agree upon those common sense things that we need to do to vote. Paper ballots. Who wants the purple finger? That's what we need. They do that in like the Philippines, India. You get your purple finger dyed, and that means you voted, and you ain't voting again.
Exactly.
Maybe we need to get back to that. Everybody like the purple finger idea? Maybe in some people's case, never mind. It would be the other finger. Guys, no matter all the technical challenges today, y'all were an exceptional panel. And I really appreciate y'all being on the show. Luckily, Joe's got editing ability that is just incredible. So we will see you next week on Third Side Convo.